Battle of Britain Memorial Site. Fabulous place to come for a cuppa. It's one of my favourite quotes from Winston Churchill. I hope it comes out well. A memorial to those who fought the Battle of Britain 1940. Winston Churchill said, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few." Quite a sobering time when Britain was really truly under attack. Probably the only time really in 1939 when we declared war on Germany. Germany was already at that point aggravating things, or the powers that be at that time. And that sort of fight for supremacy. Amazingly, all this time, nothing really changes in the way we all act. Our enemies change, or our perceived enemies, but it's human nature. And there it is, 1940, the Battle of Britain Memorial. The whole site's fabulous. The building is shaped like a big Spitfire, or shaped like a plane. It's got wings in shapes both sides. We sat up on the top there. I just pointed, having a nice coffee, or a cup of tea, and just reflecting. As we looked out, there's a propeller down on that side, and you can see the sea over there. There are some of the flags, the flag of the RAF and the British Union Jack. And here's a bit more about what the whole site is about. The memorial is dedicated to roughly 3,000 aircrew of the RAF Command who flew the Battle of Britain during the autumn of 1940. Their courage, sacrifice prevented Nazi Germany from controlling the skies above Britain and thought of the plans of Hitler. This is the picture further down there. That is a picture of what the site is like. The propeller shaped memorial is clearly visible from the air. Near the cliff edge are two circular grassy mounds just out of shot, which are the sites of former heavy gun emplacements. Don't know whether we'll quite go and see it. It's opened by Her Majesty the Queen in 1993. She was at one point the Lord Warden of the sink ports in this area, which is another story in itself. There's various other memorials around, just explaining more about what everything is. There's 4 plaques here. These are 3 that's straight in front about the darkest hour. Guess we'll never really truly understand. We talk about war. There's all the current political debates about what we should be subsidising, the military and NATO and all the others. And yet our war, our battles are totally different. It's always a question of what you're funding and why. So here, in front of me, is a Hurricane. I think these are just basically models, mock-ups. I don't think they're the exact planes that were rescued. I'm not so sure what they're made of, whether it's hard to know what they're made of. That's the hurricane. Impressive looking thing. Yeah, it says on the ground this is replica Hurricane Mark 1 was unveiled on Sunday the 13th of July 2003 by His Royal Highness Princess Michael of Kent. And then there's more information just behind me of what the hurricane was. And then the other side, this is, I guess both of them were most famous, but the Spitfire always seems to capture it, although I think the Hurricane, in some respects, was probably the better of the two. But this is the Spitfire, one that I've still to complete or give away, that I started one of my mad projects and never got finished. Yeah, it's a replica of the Spitfire Mark 1, again unveiled by His Royal Highness Prince of Michael, but this was unveiled a year later, Thursday the 16th of September 2004. The detail's incredible. Likewise, where the red just covers over. It even looks like it's real. It's hard to know what they're made of, but this is for the East India Fund flight. But the details inside, man, just look there, you've almost got the exact details. How much detail can be seen? I don't think there's. But that is incredible detail, especially with the jumpsuit seat. That is incredible. Even the mirror on the top so you can see what's behind him. Very simple design. Still see one or two flying across here. Then there's a bit of bravado going on, but we have stainless steel sculpture of a junker being downed. Well, this is more bravado and bullishness to give the sense that we were undefeated, or whether it literally was an example of many things that happened. I think we've always got to try and work out the difference between myth and fiction. But it does look incredible. Probably could do with a bit of polish on, but yeah, it certainly reflects the sorry state of affairs of a plane that has been brought down. It's fascinating. So we'll now go for a walk up to the seafront or to the edge of the cliff, built on the famous white cliffs of Kent and Dover. So we'll go and explore those. Such a lovely place, isn't it?
So peaceful, tranquil.
So you think it is, do you? Tranquil and lovely. Hey?
Very. You can get food here.
See all the ships out of the North English Channel?
You could take them ski then, wouldn't you?
Most probably. Some building works there. I don't know quite what's happening. Let's have a rabbit. Almost looks like it's been a runway at some point. I don't think it has. what I thought would look like a runway must be part of the old World War II roadway, according to this. Okay, you can see where we are. Road for the manned batteries. There was many along the cliffs here, built between June 1941 to June 1942, basically because we were well within shooting range out here of France. And so this was built and constructed for that purpose. It's a lovely site out here. It's well worth recommend it highly to come and visit. If you want to know a little bit more about the Battle of Britain, actually the nearest you could ever be to the actual front line and a real piece of where the action was over 80 years ago. Always blows me back was I was born about 23 years after World War II was brought into peace, just over probably 30 years after it began. When I was born, there's still a lot of the generation, both of World War I and World War II. What seems strange now is that World War I fighting generation now reaching age, very few now left. World War I is outside of living memory. Very few of the people who are alive during World War I now. Nobody. We saw the odd one, two people born in those decades. But we're coming to that same point with World War II. It's no longer part of living history. Many people who are alive today and will not have remembered that period and the reality of what was fought. Yes, we can argue the politics, but the reality is now way outside the realms of living memory. And here we are at the sea. Absolutely fantastic view, lots of stuff going on. You know, Folkestone down there, Folkestone Harbour Arms. Zoom in there. It's Folkestone Harbour Arms. The Harbour, the Grand Burston Hotel. And just in the distance, there's Dungeness Power Station, right on the far end of the coast, or what was Dungeness Power Station. Now zooming back out, we're looking towards Dover. You just see France in the distance, but Dover, towards Capel. So we look back over the visitor centre. Like I say, it's shaped like the wings of a plane. Whether it's a Spitfire, whether it's the Hurricane or whatever, I guess is an open question. In fact, it's a memorial to all the aircraft. And that's the view. Not quite central, but that's the view of the site. From the coastal area, from the cliff edge, looking back, fitting memorial. In the centre of that ground, that man sat in the centre, that's gives the impressions of the wings, the mound gives the impression that the propellers spinning around, and the wings just give that sense of we are flying, and the cafe at the top and the open air is almost like the cockpit, and we are flying. It's quite quite impressive in a sense, almost artistic in its own self. I like it. And there's also a memorial as you go further back up that way to all those who served during the battle, who gave their life in one way or the other for peace, for, well, the argument was for freedom, for democracy and not dictatorship, which seems ironic as we're still in those same sort of struggles politically and wondering whether we will ever learn. Looking still again towards Folkestone, the train line is down there at the bottom. Again, all of this was military town and military battles that were fought over the past. And there we are back looking towards Dover. So as we walk back in towards a visitor centre, we'll hopefully get a bit better detail of those propellers that are put in the ground. It's 3 simple propellers, and I'll probably not be able to give all the detail of the names because it's just too many to read out. Hopefully it gives a basic understanding of what was there and a memorial to the people who would be many probably over 100 years old today, who were in the prime of life during World War II. Just in the white as we're coming up is one of the propellers, or to reflect one of the propellers. What I love about the site, it's so user-friendly. You can get involved. You're part of the memorial. It's not just something to look at, but it's something that is there to be engaged with. And that is one of the propellers coming neatly to the hub. Yeah, that's not to be climbed, but I think all the different squadrons that were part of the Battle of Britain, East India, Royal Air Force Fighter Squadron, quite a few different squadrons there that are mentioned. Even some European Czechoslovakian Rhodesia, going a bit wider. Squadron of Chester, West Lancashire. Auxiliary Air Force, City of London Squadron, 422, Flight 421. Many flights and squadrons that were part of the battle. On the chap there, opened by our late Queen, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. It's a centrepiece again, just over that way. There's another one of the wings, set in an area that you'd probably give you the impression of it spinning around. That Battle of Britain Memorial, say, opened by the Queen, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. No, the Queen Elizabeth mother, do apologise, in 1993, about the same time as when the site was open. And then we have the site itself. That's where we sat earlier on, having our cup of tea. And then right in front of me, there's a big memorial. I think it's a bit similar to the memorial an arboretum in Leicestershire. to all the people who fought in World War One and World War Two, but this is specifically for the Battle of Britain. It's called the Christopher Foxley Morris Memorial Wall. It's dead. It just says on as I read it. Hopefully you'll be able to see it as I'm getting closer. It's dedicated to the air crew who flew during the Battle of Britain, 10th of July 1940 to 31st of October 1940. It's now the 1st of July 2026. We're just starting, so in a sense, within 9 days, the Battle of Britain had commenced. It says it was erected by the Battle of Britain Memorial Trust and unveiled by His Royal Highness Prince Michael of Kent, GCVO, the patron of the Trust, on the 3rd of July 2005. On the planes, it was a Hawker Hurricane, a Supermarine Spitfire, the Bristol Belhaim, the Gloucester Gladiator, and the Bolton Paul Defiant. I think at this point we're very, very far behind in the amount of planes we needed. It was a real bluff, and yet it seemed to be that the Nazi Party and Adolf Hitler really believed were more invincible than probably would have been. Sometimes they say in life it's always easy if your enemies are bad. It's too many names for me to list individually. I go through each one slowly as I can. That's my form of sharing with all of you on Beaver Life TV. Some of the men, probably some women amongst them, who fought, were part of the air crew. Many who just lost their lives in that war. And again, it's Winston Churchill's statement, never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. I guess it's what we have to remember is all those who fought. You might want to just press pause every so often. I'm probably going faster than I ought to, but just to try and get the emphasis. And two notable characters, I don't quite know why. You have the patron of the Battle of Britain Memorial Trust unveiled by His Royal Highness again, Prince Michael of Kent. Yeah, Chief Marshal Lord Dowding from 1882 to 1970. He was Fighter Command of Battle of Britain in 1940. So I guess he was one of those responsible. This is 28th of October 2010. The Duchess of Cornwall, I think at that time, was Queen Camilla. We have Sir Keith Park. I think I've heard him, Air Chief Marshal Sir Keith Park. Again, he's probably part of the Air Command Group Battle of Britain 1940. Again, he's 1892 to 1975. This was a generation of my uncles who remember especially World War I, and some who my granddad remembered being a driver, driving Land Rovers or other sorts of small Jeep type vehicles in World War II over in France, ferrying supplies. And so these are the characters, these were the principal leaders of our day. Totally different battle. But there you are, that's the memorial. It's a popular visitor centre, some excellent views, some fabulous wildlife, birds, rabbits, all sorts of things. Well worth a visit. Do make a chance if you can. But this is my reflection on events that happened over 81 years ago. So I want to do now, say, may God bless you and take care.